Alright, so we're going to start talking about equations. In the past, you've already done an equation for a line. Does anybody remember what's the equation of a line? Y equals mx plus b. Very good. So that's the formula or the equation of a line. What we're doing today is the equation of a circle. Okay? So, the line segment R, right here, what do you call a line segment R?
Radius.
Good, very good. It is the radius. Okay? Now, I want you on your paper to draw a triangle, a right triangle, so that the radius is the hypotenuse. So on your paper, I want you to draw a triangle, a right triangle, where R, the radius, is the hypotenuse. And I'm under the impression that the majority of you will draw it like this. Is that correct? Do it the other way? It's okay. It's fine. Okay, now we want to label the third vertex to triangle C. So this is point A, point B. The third vertex we're going to call C. What is the coordinate for A? 2, 3, very good. What's the coordinate for B? 5, 7, very good. Okay, so this one right here is 2, 3. And this one is 5, 7. Easy so far, correct? Good. Okay, what are the lengths of AC? How long is AC? 3, very good. How long is CB? 4. Now, that's great, and it's exactly what I would want you to do, is just to go in there and count. Okay? But I want to take you back just a little bit, back to the beginning of the year when we also had a distance formula. x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Everybody remember that part? Does that make sense? Do you remember I was talking about those? So I want to follow through, but before we can do that, we need to know what's the coordinate for C. So let's take a look at the coordinate for C. How far over do I have to go? 5, what? 3. Now, so I'm trying to get you to understand where we got this 3 and this 4 from using expressions, because sometimes we may not have the numbers. Are you with me? So, what number is the same on A and C? The 3, so ignore them. I have a 5 and a 2. 5 represents this entire line from here to here, correct? Do I want that whole line? No, I want to get rid of this little piece right here. Isn't that 2? Good, so it's 5 minus 2. Everybody okay with that? Okay, now if I'm looking up and down, I'm going to find for CB. What number is the same here? So ignore them. They're the same. Now I have a 7 and a 3. How long is this whole line right here? Do I want the whole line? No, I want to get rid of this much, which is 3. So what's 7 minus 3? 4. Now do you know where those numbers are coming from? Okay? So now it says to calculate the length. I want us to think about it by the distance formula. Well, guess what? We just did that. x2 minus x1, that's this right here. y2 minus y1, that's this piece right here. So if I had a square root, and then it would be 5 minus 2 squared plus 7 minus 3 squared. Okay, well what's 5 minus 2? 3. What's 3 squared? 9. What's 7 minus 3? 4 squared is 16 plus 9. What's 16 plus 9? 25. And then I have to take the square root of 25, which is 5. Well, what is that? What does that mean right here? What did we find out? Well, let me show you briefly what you would have done over here. You told me this side was 3 and this side was 4, correct? Wouldn't you have done 3 squared plus 4 squared equals c squared? 9 plus 16, which is 25. Take the square root of both sides, so C is equal to 5. Didn't we just find our radius? Are we okay? Do you see that what I did here was the same thing as this? We just use it differently. Okay. Questions on anything that I've done up to this point? We're okay? We understand? Remember I told you we're working backwards, right? So now we're going to do the same thing, but now I'm going to take a piece of information out of it. Okay? So we're going to do the exact same thing, but we're going to do a different problem. And I'm taking a piece of information out of it. So right here, I'm telling you this is X and Y. Ms. Ramsey, it's on a graph. Can't we figure out what it is? Okay, well, kind of, but do you know exact? Why? Because it's in the middle somewhere, isn't it? Do you know for sure it's in the middle? Or you're just assuming it's in the middle? You want it to be easy, so you assume it's in the middle, right? Okay? Well, we don't know for sure. So this process is to try and help us figure this out. Okay? So E is X and Y. Isn't that how you do any coordinate, is you put X and Y? Okay? And it represents a point on the circle. Here it tells us that our radius is 3 units long. Right? And we need to now draw a triangle. So draw the same triangle we drew a minute ago so that the radius is the hypotenuse. And I'm pretty sure you'll draw something that looks like this now, right? And we want the third vertex to be F. So this one right here, we want it to be F. What's the coordinate for D? 4, 3. So this coordinate right here is at 4, 3. And what we need to do is we need to find the coordinate of F, because they told us E, didn't they? So how far over do we have to go for F? Do we really know it's in the middle, right? Wouldn't I go over the same amount I did for this one? So what do we put for that one? X. How far up do I have to go? 3. Isn't it the same as this one? So this coordinate is over X and up 3. Are we okay? Are you sure? Okay. So now we need to write an expression. An expression means something like X minus 5 or 3X plus 2. Those are expressions. So now I need to write an expression for DF. Well, DF is right here. What numbers are the same? The 3's. So what would my expression be? What did we do on the up above? Do you remember? If these are the same, we're going to ignore them. And I'm just looking at these other two. What would I do with them? Subtract them. So it would be X minus 4. Okay? Now if I'm going to go do FE, I'm going to be looking at this line. Which one's the same on these two? The X's, right? So we're going to ignore the X's. So what would my expression be for the other one? Y minus 3. Very good. Everybody okay with what I did so far? Okay? Now we're going to plug it into this formula that they just told us. Well, DF is X minus 4. So it's X minus 4 squared plus FE, which is Y minus 3 squared. And I put the squared because they told us to, right? And that's going to be equal to R squared. Well, what does R stand for? Radius. How big's my radius? Didn't they tell us? They told us that it was 3. So right here, this would be X minus 4 squared plus Y minus 3 squared is equal to 3 squared. What's 3 squared? None. Yo, that's the answer. Do you understand where we got all that information from? Let me ask a question. 4, 3. 4, 3. Huh. Isn't that interesting? All right. Now I'm going to be evil, and I'm taking away all the information. Okay, we're not going to be given anything. Everything's going to be letters. Are you with me? Okay, doing the same exact thing we just did. Okay, doing the same process we just did. I'm now just taking away all the numbers. So, we need to draw a right triangle. So draw your right triangle. There is a typo right here. This would say H. Somebody tell me, what is this called right here? Of the picture, what is this called? The what? There's that point right here. Good, that's your center. Very good. What would this line right here be called? Good, that's your radius. Very good. Okay, so we drew the triangle. Now we need to label the third vertex J. Okay, I want to give you a second, and I want you to see if you can figure out what are the coordinates that go in here for J. I'm going to let you pause for just a minute. All right, so let's take a look. J goes over this far. What other point goes over this far? H does, right? So that's going to be X right here. Very good. And then the other one says, well, how far up does it go? And I know this one goes the same distance, right? So where would be, okay, how many of you had X and K? Okay. So now we need to find an expression for GJ. Well, here's GJ right here. What letter is the same? Okay, so what's my expression going to be? Good. X minus T. And then I'm going to find HJ, which is right here. What letter is the same? The X's are. So what's my expression going to be? Good. Y minus K. Excellent job. And then they just want us to substitute in to this equation. So GJ is X minus H squared, because they told me to, plus HG, which is Y minus K squared, is equal to R squared. H and K, where did those come from? Where did it come from? The center, just like we did back over here, correct? Remember we had the 4 and the 3? Okay, and what does R stand for?
Radius.
The radius. Do you kind of know where all those numbers and where they came from? Good, that's the equation of a circle. Y equals mx plus b is the equation for writing a line. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. That's the equation we use to write the equation of a circle. Are we okay? So now let's look at the back. Okay, where did they get HK from again? Good, that's your center. Okay, notice that it's X minus and Y minus, right? And remind me, what does R stand for again? The radius. Okay, so let's look at number 1. What information did they give us? They gave us what? Good. What does the center stand for? What letters do we use? If it's the center, what do we use? H and K, right? So this is H and this is K. So if I'm going to write it into equation, it's X minus H, which is 0, and that's squared, plus Y minus K, which is 0, and that's squared. And that's going to be equal to my radius, which is 8 squared. Now, let me just confirm. Do I really need to write x minus 0? Can I just write x squared? Do I really need to write y minus 0? Can I really just write y squared? And then what is 8 squared? This is the answer that I would be looking for. Try number 2. Give you a second, let you try number 2. Okay, that this is my h and this is my k, correct? So it's going to be y minus, because that's what's in the equation, a negative 2 squared. Sorry, that should have been an x. I'm sorry. And then y minus 3 squared is equal to 5 squared. What happens when I have a minus and a negative? It is extremely important right now for you to recognize that when I have two negatives, I really make it x plus 2 squared. Okay, you're going to need that here in just a second. Yes, sir?
Why are they both 1?
Why are they both what?
1.
Oh, no, this is an x. I just changed it. I made a mistake. Okay, so then plus, right here is just y minus 3 squared. And what's 5 squared? 25. Okay, how many of you had that as your answer or something close? Or if you messed up, did you kind of fix it and you understand now? Right? Better? Okay, try 3 and 4. Give you a second to try. All right, so here on this one, hopefully you recognize h and k again, right? So it's going to be y, I'm sorry, I did that a minute ago. The first one is x. So this one would have been x minus 2 squared plus y minus a negative 4 squared equals 1 squared. Right? So if I rewrite this, this is just x minus 2 squared. Here I have two negatives. What happens right there?
Positive.
Positive. So it's y plus 4 squared. And 1 times 1 is 1. Okay, how many of you had? Good. You already did 4, right? So we have h and k. So this one should have been x plus 1 squared plus y plus 4 squared equals 4. How many of you had? Good. Easy stuff so far, right? We're just writing the equations. Okay? I'm going to start being tricky though, so be careful. On the next two, I'm going to give you a couple seconds, but I want you to read very carefully and not mess. What? Oh, they told you this was the diameter. So how big's the radius? 4. Because you divide by 2, right? So right here on this one, you should have had x plus 2 squared plus y plus 6 squared equals 4 squared, which is 16. Are we okay? How many of you fell for that trick? I'm not going to be willing. I see. What's the origin?
0, 0.
Huh? Very good. The origin is at 0, 0.
Squared.
X squared plus y squared. And how big's my radius? So that would be 2 squared, which would be 4. Are we okay? So now we're going to start working a little bit backwards. What happens if I give you the equation? How could you figure out what the radius or the center was? So I'm giving you just a couple of minutes. I want you to look at it 7 and 8. It's working backwards. So think about what you did to write the equation and think what would you do in order to make it backwards. So on 7 and 8, you're actually going to find what's the center and the radius. So the center, we're asking for a coordinate, and we call that h and k, right? And then we're looking for the radius. So I'm going to give you just a minute. I want you to look at 7 and 8 and find the radius. So working backwards is a little bit more difficult, right? So what's the center? There's nothing there. What was the center here, right? It was at 0, 0. Now remember, on the equation, this right here represents r squared, doesn't it? So if r squared is 20, what do I have to do to that in order to get r? The square root, correct? Because then these cancel out? Good. So 20 can be divided by 2 and 10, right? 10 can be divided by 2 and 5. I have a pair of 2s. What happens when you get a pair? They get to come outside. Very good. So it is 2, and inside the house has to stay the 5. So your radius would be 2 square roots of 5. Okay? So now that you're a little bit smarter, right, I want you to try number 8 again. Just go back and look. Okay, there's a couple little trickies, right? So I'm going to give you just 1 second. Go back and look at it. Okay. So what happens when I have a plus right here? I know, but why did I get a plus? Because the equation said it was minus. Good. So right here, what it's saying is x minus a negative 4, correct? Isn't that how I got the plus when I had two negatives? Okay, well this is a part of the equation, so that means that my center has to be at negative 4. And then right here, this was a part of the equation, right? Because remember, it's x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. So the y minus is there. So that means that my center is at 3. So whatever my sign is, I really need the opposite, correct? And then now I know that r squared is 16. So if r squared is 16, what do I have to do to get r? Good, take the square root of it. So what's the square root of 16? 4, very good. So my radius is 4. Okay, now try 9 and 10. I want you to try 9 and 10. Okay, somebody tell me, what would we call this point right here? The center. So what would I say negative 3 was called? What letter would we use? H, very good. And what would 1 be called? Okay. So it should be x minus a negative 3 squared plus y minus 1 squared. Well, wait a minute, what's my radius?
3.
3, because it goes from the center to the edge. So here I have a minus and a negative, so this would be x plus 3 squared. And then y minus 1 squared. What's 3 squared? Okay. How many of you had that as your answer? Very good. If you messed up, did you mess up small? Okay. Who does not understand? Okay. Did you already try the next one? No? Okay. Give me a second. Let's try number 10. Okay, so right here, this is the center. What's the coordinate for the center right there? 0, 0. So that's my h and my k, right? But if that's the case, then it's x minus 0. Do I really have to write minus 0? No, so I can just write x squared plus y squared equals my radius. Well, how big is my radius? So that would be 3 squared, which is what? Good. Questions? Think we can handle? That's it. Okay? So you should well be able to get all of your homework done before you finish